Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast Dragon Ball edition. Today, we are going to be talking about Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 95, and we're also going to be talking about a Watch Mojo. Yep, you know we love Watch Mojo over here, a Watch Mojo list that came out a couple weeks ago. So, we got the Dragon Ball expert with us, Mr. Mitch Oso. How are you doing today?
Doing great, fantastic as always. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, man. I am doing well. We're going to be talking some Dragon Ball manga chapter 95 and a Watch Mojo list, and then we're just going to take it from there.
That's the state of Dragon Ball right now, kind of a little slow paced here, and we're branching out, talking about some other stuff so everyone else can figure out how stupid in which I really am whenever it comes to everything else. So buckle up, everyone. Let's uh let's get to it by starting off with a chapter. Chapter 95, The Ultimate Teacher and Pupil by Akira Toriyama and Toritaro. But well, artwork. Y'all know. Let's shut up. God. Translation Caleb Cook, as always. Lettering Brandon Ovea. I don't know
Yeah.
Brandon, to be honest with you. You see, with these slower chapters going through the movie, I'm actually reading who does the lettering for the chapter. You
Well,
go, Brandon. What a job.
at least this first part was of this chapter was new.
A little bit. The beginning part here, well, the previous chapter had ended with Gohan going into his ultimate form,
Hmm.
so his Mystic Gohan form, depending on what part of the fandom in which you reside on. But the lake in which the Red Ribbon Army base has been exposed, and the police have detected that, and they now know where the Red Ribbon Army is, and you see that they're at HQ there, and they give Krillin a call because Krillin is, the James Bond of this entire um, franchise now. But Krillin came out of the movies. He was watching a movie with his family. Little chit chat about it. His Marin thinks it's great. 18 thinks it's stupid, and they only get worse. And Krillin gets the call, and he's going to go investigate. And 18 says that she's going to join along, and the chapter goes then right over to the fighting, and we see Gohan going up against Gamma 1, and he's pushing, Gamma to his limit, beating the hell out of him, kicking him down, and
I will say real quick, Mitch, because I guess this is different from the movie because the movie it made it seem like Bulma went and got everybody. Like when she came with Goten Trunks, she's like, I brought the strongest warriors
yeah,
on the planet and Krillin, but it's looking like Krillin and 18 are going to be getting there first, or I don't
yeah.
know how they're going to do it, but that's different. And also, just to talk about how far this time skip is, Marin is huge.
Oh, yeah, she is a head taller than Krillin,
Yeah.
and like she is basically almost eye level with 18. She is not the small runt
We
that she
just saw
was.
the Tournament of the Power in the anime version. She was like when Goku was recruiting was super small. And then you see her because she's not like a Saiyan where they give some BS reason why Saiyan like their growth spurts. Like she's
You know,
I guess what would she be considered? Half human, half is she full human or is she
I would
half human,
I,
half
I
android?
I would consider her still to be full human because technically 18 and 17 are cyborgs.
Yeah.
They're half human, half robot. Maybe the percentages are not direct down the middle, but we all understand what I'm trying to say there. But
But yeah, it's crazy how like like then you realize how far this stuff really is.
yep, yep, that indeed. And then going back to the point that you said that um, Krillin and 18 are going to be arriving at the scene on their own accord because they can sense Gohan's key.
But 17 can't unless they're going to make them show up in the manga because that still made no sense in the movie.
I mean, he needs to make an appearance. Okay, he doesn't need to make an appearance. I think it'd be smart if he made an appearance. But
Tien.
I am truly more focused on if 18 is going to have a reaction to seeing perfect
Oh,
as
then
Max.
mhm.
especially since Cell Max looks like semi-perfect Cell, and she should have PTSD nightmares whenever it comes to that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just in Godzilla-sized form,
Yeah.
like she should freak the fuck out. But we shall see if they make that kind of correction, or even if they've had that realization. But because I mean, even if 17 showed up, I mean, he'd be like, "Wow, that's Cell. I'm gonna beat his ass and try to get revenge." But like, he went from like his insect, you know, like
Hmm.
insectoid, form, whatever you want to call it, his imperfect form, to his more humanoid form that he never saw. So it's like that's what I'm looking at. So, but going back to that point, yeah, Krillin and them are going to arrive on their own accord. I assume then Bulma's going to bring the kids, Trunks and Goten, and because they'll probably fight again and whatnot. I do ponder if we'll see their fusion. I assume that we would, but Geekdom says no, so we'll see. I can't remember what he exactly said, but regardless, I digress. And that's it. That'll be everyone showing up per se. So, but yeah, they just keep fighting and fighting. Piccolo and Pan are talking that Gohan's got his groove back. He's back in action, and Gohan questions um the Gammas as to why are they being or why are they claiming that they're evil? Gohan asks. You mentioned a Wiccan, um, describing him as evil, and what does that mean? And one Gamma One kind of dodges the whole question, and Gohan's like, "You guys are the one that are kidnapping children. You're the evil ones here." And Gamma's denying it, and Dr. Hedo's telling him to keep his cool. Um, at this point, though, Gohan is really pushing Gamma 1, so Gamma 2 decides that he's going to go jump in because, well, Dr. Hedo ordered him to. And Piccolo then, he joins in the fray and he starts the fight, and Gohan's surprised that he's there, and, well, simple, simple, just introduction to the fight, nothing extravagant, and yeah, all of these, a lot of these photos or manga panels are just there's fighting. It's just all action packed. So like Piccolo gets the upper hand on Gamma 2 at the very beginning, and it kind of equals out, and then it starts turning towards the Gammas because even though Piccolo has his power up until he actually does his transformation, he really isn't standing too much of a great chance per se. Um,
I would say
but
this fight's a little different from the anime, from the like they had that cool shot of like Gohan and Piccolo both like a punch from Gohan and a kick from Piccolo, because I don't remember the movie of like Gamma 1 and 2 saying, all right, we're just gonna take one out. Like,
no, they did not. Part of their strategy for anyone who hasn't read this chapter yet is that after Gohan and Piccolo kind of push the Gammas back just a little bit, they decide that instead of attacking each one on one, that they're going to focus on one particular fighter, and they just rush Piccolo, but Gohan's there to you know help out and kind of take the heat off Piccolo. But as Martin was saying on the 26th and 27th page, you get a sweet shot of Gohan punching Gamma 1 and Piccolo kicking Gamma 2 in the face with a whole bunch of energy and whatnot. But the attacks are side by side on the panel, so it's a very, very good illustration of their tag team. Their chemistry that they showed even in the Tournament of Power,
mm-hmm.
and just good looking drawings by Toritaru. And I'm just looking. I'm kind of just skipping through because again, it's just a whole bunch of fighting. And let's see. Well, Piccolo actually does have a conversation with Gamma 2, where he's he says to him, he's like, "You guys don't really seem bad. You just seem like you're just following. stupid orders. And he fires a special beam cannon after he said that to Gamma 2, and Gamma 2 just steals Android 17's, his little shield attack or shield defense, that green shield that he has. I don't know what
Hmm.
color this one is until the color copies come, but same thing. And Gamma 2's perfectly fine. And he makes a remark. He's like, I'm just following Dr. Edo's orders, and those can never be wrong. And Piccolo's like, uh, yeah, those orders come from him, but Magenta's the one that's, giving him all the bad intel. You ever consider that? And, you know, uh, Gamma 2, he's kind of shocked at that kind of, I don't want to say realization, but it's starting to click in his brain that maybe, maybe they're being manipulated per se. And, uh, Magenta, he's just like, all right, let's get this over with. I didn't pay for you guys to not be winning, essentially. I paraphrase that. So yep, they're fighting, and Piccolo gets smacked real hard by Gamma 2, and he he thinks of what Shenron said, that of Shenron's quote. He's like, I threw in an extra bit, and then that was whenever Piccolo actually does his transformation into Orange Piccolo. Really wish that wasn't his name, but oh well. And but yeah, Piccolo transforms and shows his transformation as he comes out of the hole that he was beat down into, and that's where the chapter ended. So
Yeah, so with Orange Piccolo, yep, you're right. With the chapter ending, it looks you can see the differential, even though the manga's in black, black and white.
yeah,
And so then we'll get 96. So, Mitch, I did do some counting because I've been thinking about this since the last one we did. Dragon Ball Super's 100th chapter will be literally December. Do you think they're going to try and drag this to December so they do on the 100th episode? Here's the new stuff. So because we talked about a little bit, like a little stale, so that you get people really amped up for the new year, like the 100th chapter, whole bunch of new stuff. Now you know what we're going into in 2024.
the problem with me saying yes to that is just that there have been plenty of opportunities of like, oh, this day is coming up, or event is coming into town,
Mm-hmm.
or this was announced. It's like there have been plenty of opportunities for them to come out and be like, guess what? Here comes the anime, spring of 24, and or whatever friggin', you know, that's like that's what we've been expecting to hear, and it's never happened. So I mean, yeah, that's another. I think I said this on a previous episode. I was like, I don't know, like this is a perfect opportunity. If they don't do it here, I don't know when they're going to do it. So, like, I don't want to say that was like Comic Con or Goku's birthday or an Android stack or Toriyama's birthday in April. I don't know, but I felt like I said that, and it, it's the same thing. You got manga chapter 100 coming up, and it'll be at the end of December, and I mean, you would think that would be a pretty good time to do it, and I just don't have. I don't have. I can't really say this anymore because there have been some Japanese companies that have actually done me a big old favor. But no, like I just can't. Don't get your hopes up. It's part of the reason is like we were discussing why the fandom is so kind of toxic at the moment is because everyone gets their hopes up and then they get ruined.
Yeah, and we're recording literally the day of the chapter on the 20th, and we talked about Comic Con. San Diego Comic Con is going on right now,
Oh,
and Dragon Ball has not
no,
gone yet. And I was making because obviously it would have popped over all over social media if Dragon Ball went, but they have not gone as of Thursday, so I don't know. I'm trying to see if they have the Friday, or I would assume they put them on the Saturday. On the Saturday. slot.
Hell, Comic Con should have just pushed them up because I think isn't Comic Con kind of bare right now with the writers' strike in Hollywood just doing their thing. I don't
Yep,
know.
yep. Like none of the actors can do.
So unless they're sticking to their schedule, if they are on it, I mean, I don't think we're going to hear anything. So, but if this podcast, gets completed, today being Thursday, so if you're listening to this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you already know the answer. But like, I don't, I don't think anything's coming.
No,
So
I don't think so either. And I don't want to be the person who like what other people say, like, oh, something's coming. And then after 500 tries, you try and do like, oh, I told you something was coming after like a billion tries. Like I'm not
that's like
I'm not a fan of that.
that's like a
So
person that goes gambling. They spend $100 and they lose a lot, and and then at the end of the game there they won $80, so they leave with 80, but they're in a happy mood. It's like, no, you still lost. You still lost $20 or whatever math you want to take there. You can't just be taking claims that, oh, it's coming. You can't be wrong nine
yeah,
times and then the 10th time you get it right and expect people to think that you have the insight of when this shit's coming out. So
yeah, that's terrible too. And it's like you said, they're making people wait for the new stuff with the manga because this will be over it. And obviously the anime people have been waiting for 28 since 2018. And now you got people waiting for the games because you teased Tenkaichi 4, and ever since that teaser, you've gone radio silent on that. Like, I know
um,
they're doing the World Martial Arts Tournament in Dragon Ball Kakarot, which is cool, but it's like, we're obviously want to talk about waiting like a Xenoverse 3 and all that. Like, I don't know what the strategy is, but they're holding a lot of stuff back.
it must be a thing with just Japan. This is not like I mean, maybe this is a cultural difference because let me say it like this, and this is also a critique of like American publishers. Let's talk Nintendo, for example. So Nintendo, they keep their mouth shut. They don't tell you, yeah, like you don't hear leaks coming out with Nintendo too often. Nothing. I mean, if you follow Nintendo insiders,
Hmm.
then you would probably know maybe the leaks that are coming out, but they're just not. They're not like Dragon Ball, for example. Like, at least I don't think so. I don't see it. I could be completely wrong, and someone will correct me on that one. But like with Nintendo, I just feel like they keep the things under wraps, and then out of the blue, you get smacked with everything. So take for example, like like Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Game came out middle of the 90s, I think like 96 if I recall, which I think was the year in which the 64 came out. Literally came out. And like great game, fantastic. It was an intro to an RPG for a lot of people, a lot of history, regardless. But a lot of people have wanted that game to come out on the Switch in the form of the emulators that they have on there, the Super Nintendo catalog and whatnot. And then out of nowhere, Nintendo Direct last month announces that Super Mario RPG, a remake, not just a remaster, a built up remake of the game is coming, and it's coming out in November. Like it's not. And the reason why I'm bringing this up now, let's take for example what Bethesda has done, an American company. Um, they announced 5 years ago, 2018, that Elder Scrolls 6 is coming,
Hmm.
and they don't give a date on it. And even now, 5 years later, reports are still coming out, especially with the whole Microsoft buying Activision and court documents and all this other crap that have come out. That game's not going to come out for like 5 years, or 5 years. I think is they said 2026, I believe, is whenever the court documents said that. I guess it was going to be released. I don't know. It's like just Japan, just going back to Dragon Ball. They just seem to. They don't want you to know. They want to surprise you and then fling all this stuff in your face for consumption shortly thereafter. So, but here in America, they love to tell you decades in advance they're working on crap,
Yep.
and they won't tell you when. They just tell you, and I don't know which one I like. But like, would you rather be told that something's coming and you have absolutely no idea when? Which maybe that, well, actually, I can't say what I was about to say because we're feeling the same feeling. Or would you rather just ponder like when they're going to tell us or even if they're going to do it? I don't know. It's just they're quiet on all this Dragon Ball stuff. They
Yeah, I
unless they're
don't.
just trying to milk the teats of Kakarot so much.
I don't.
Maybe Fighter Z will get some love after this.
That one's been quiet, and then there's always Xenoverse 2. That's the. I mean, that game. They always say DLC's coming, and they do bring DLC. It's just you. I don't know where Xenoverse 2 can do DLC rise because they've already done Ultimate Gohan and they've already done the superhero movie. So the only DLC that they'd be able to provide is stuff from the manga, like heroes, and I don't think the main company would allow them to do that.
Maybe maybe they are getting ready for the anime. Maybe they have the voice actors for Moro and Granola and Gas and all that. Maybe they're ready to go. But because I'm like, all they're doing now is that they're just sitting around,
Mm-hmm.
unless they're working on another game.
Which
But
which is always a possibility. It's strange. And I also think with them too, it's probably because of how plugged in we are into like the Dragon Ball world that in 2018 when I was like, oh, the show's over. I mean, I was like, all right, this is it. And then the manga's going, and then the famous people saying Dragon Ball Super is coming back in 2019.
team,
And then of course these people are credible because they've provided stuff before, so we believe them. And then 2019 doesn't happen, it's 2023, and that just shoots down the fandom. Like,
and
I
the
mean,
thing
there's
is, you can't even blame the pandemic for it because at least not my eyes because they were doing like what you said they were making predictions before the pandemic started and
yep.
those did not come to fruition and but the manga chapters kept pumping out video games kept pumping out even
Yep.
during the pandemic so
I
it's
mean, we
like
got the movie after the pandemic.
yep we did there's plenty of hands to work on this franchise and they're just not working for whatever reason but yep but then that goes then I'll lead that then into you got to be careful when you predict this kind of stuff because
Yes.
when if someone made a prediction of when the anime would come out and they were wrong the first time but then it was surely announced afterwards like sometime later like if someone was like December anime's coming out December doesn't come everyone but then they announce okay June of next year anime's coming out even though that individual got it wrong, people don't linger on it because, to be honest with you, that's old news. No one wants it. Everyone wants to talk about the newest thing, right? So that person, maybe people will remember it, but people will not linger on it and they'll move on because shit, everyone is ready for the anime. But
Oh,
when you,
remember, it was supposed to be an anime and a web series. There's
yep,
supposed to be two things.
yep, and yeah, when people make those predictions over the course of 4 or 5 years and they don't come true, I mean, all it is you get people hyped up, you play with and probably people shouldn't be as emotional, but everyone's emotional whenever it comes to something that they love. You toy with their emotions, and then whenever it doesn't come around, people get pissed, and they will hold you accountable. So, like Chronicles, like he was getting ripped
Oh, he's
because
going to be ripped for a long time.
he's getting ripped even before December. So for everyone, Chronicles, he's a Dragon Ball influencer per se.
Yeah, that's a good way to
Twitter,
say it.
and he has I don't know if he has sources or if he just shares what he finds, but he has a big following and he shares all Dragon Ball content. All right,
Yep.
so yep, and he made a prediction that this crap was coming back December at the end of this year. According to his what was the wording? His reliable source. He put the weight of his source like down on the ground, and he climbed on that back. And and we're about to find out if his source has the knees to hold his body up or if they're going to fall. And
Because he was a
but
2019 or two.
yeah, he was him and Geekdom,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember if Unrelenting
No,
did.
he stays away. Like he hasn't really
Yeah,
he dives more into like the obviously like when stuff comes out in his fan mangas that he does,
yeah,
which
well, that's the thing too, is that he doesn't need to make it to when that shit will come out because he has so many like fan mangas that he can cover
mhm.
that like that takes up his time.
Yep.
Like he can keep you clicked in and reviewing all of his content, clicking like and subscribing on his channel and engaging, and he can go about his day. He can do that, and he can wrestle like what he does or did, or I don't know what he
Hmm.
does nowadays. But like Geekdom doesn't create his own like fan manga chapters. He is like basically solely dependent on like the manga and the anime coming out. Now he probably does some other stuff because I've seen him
Oh yeah,
discuss WWE.
he's
But
doing full stuff now, man. Like he just posted a spoiler free review of Oppenheimer. Like he's just doing all the media's all the pop culture stuff. He's branched. He has his like
well, he
geekdom
has to.
pop. Yeah, I mean he has his own stuff. I mean obviously Dragon Ball's the reason he has everything he has, but
But hey, it's the cow that's not producing milk. You mean you gotta move on. You gotta get a new one. But yeah, but these guys are ripping each other. Oh, you said this, you said that, and
mm-hmm.
everyone's just getting pissed. It's just funny. But
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But I mean, when it happens, I mean, we'll be ready. I mean,
yep,
I'm more of a if it happens because 2018 to 2024 because this that's not going to happen in 2023. Like we're already halfway through the year, so it's just crazy.
yeah, it's I am still on the when like
Mhm.
that it this will happen someday. Like we will get an anime back. It's just I don't know. I don't know. Like I saw a meme. I don't know if I shared it with you or shared it with someone else, or maybe I just saw it and chuckled. But it, it was basically showing someone in like their coffin and they had just died, and it was like
Oh, and Super came
me on my
back.
deathbed, and then and then the next picture below it was the next day Toriyama or like Funimation or Crunchyroll, uh, Dragon Ball Super anime returns, and it's
Oh
so
yeah,
true. We'll be dead, and then this will come back, and you were pray there's an afterlife that allows you to watch because you're gonna be so bad.
yeah, you're gonna be human, but we'll wait and see on that. But to go to the other thing, Mitch actually wanted to talk about this Watch Mojo list of the top. We're not going to go over the 100 people, so don't worry about all 100. But
Yeah,
it was the top 100 best video games of all time, and I was initially shocked because Watch Mojo sometimes their lists are not the best. But Mitch,
they
why'd you
can
want
they,
to
they can
talk about this?
they can be a little wild. That's without a doubt they can. But yeah, Martin had shared. I think he had shared, or maybe
Mhm.
I just found it. But yeah, Watch Mojo did a top 100 video games of all time, and as an avid gamer, not lately growing up a little bit, but definitely growing up, and just was always curious about like what people think, and was my games on there, were my games disrespected or anything like that, and I was fairly surprised at that a couple of these games that were on here. So let's see
Were you
here.
surprised about the games that you played that were on there, or like games that you were like, oh, I can't believe I didn't have
There,
fun playing it? And
so like there were a lot of like indie games that were on there, and I was just like, I've never heard of this shit at all. I'm like, who in the world played that? Then there were some games and that that I always wanted to play, but just there's lot of shit to play on there. But then there was just other games I was just surprised that they were on there, not because I didn't think that they didn't deserve it, but I was like, I guess I didn't know that people liked them as much as me. Um, but then some games that I thought, so take for example, number 78, Conker's Bad Fur Day was
mhm.
a video game on the 64 made by Rare, same creators as Donkey Kong and whatnot. It looks like a Banjo-Kazooie kind of game. Conquers a red squirrel, but the game is it's very adult oriented, like really crude humor, freaking hilarious. But I mean, I remember playing it definitely under the age of 17 and just being mind blown at like what I was experiencing. But yeah, it was at 78. Now the RPG that I was talking about, Super Mario RPG, Legend of Seven Stars, it was 74. The thing about like that game, for example, was it came out at the end of the Super Nintendo's lifespan. It came out 3 or 4 months before the 64 came out, and Super Mario 64 came out with it. So it's good to see um, certain games that I played on there. But like looking at this list, some of these things I would have thought would have been higher compared to other games. So like 49, for example, like everybody talks about GoldenEye 007.
Mhm.
I I played it, I enjoyed it, but like I'm not as obsessed as what a lot of people were. Sitting there at 49, I would have thought that people would have put like of the most famous video games of all time, they would put GoldenEye 007 over Gears of War 2,
Mhm.
um, and
Well, you
whatnot.
want to
But
stay in the 40s. I mean, just a couple. I thought Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 would be a lot higher because I think that's the highest rated sports game.
I believe so, and I played the hell out of Pro Skater 2, so much so that whenever I tried to play 1 and 3, I actually hated them
Hmm.
because 2 was so good. Nothing like playing as Spider-Man on a skateboard. Freaking sweet. But yeah, that was the highest sport game that I could find on there. Um, but I was real surprised to see Sonic the Hedgehog 2 up there. I
Hmm.
played Sonic 1. I didn't play as much as 2, so probably a big old jump in game fun per se. Now, I got a couple here. What was your favorite game on the list?
My favorite
Or-
game of all time was on the list coming in at 90, Kingdom Hearts 2. So it was on the list. Obviously, I don't want to
Let
say
me ask you this. Give me your give me your five without looking at the list. What would you consider your five favorite games? And not in any order, not in terms of one, but like if you had to say five games.
Kingdom Hearts 2, Budokai Tenkaichi 3, Budokai 3. Um
Batman.
Batman, yeah, it'd probably be fifth. I'm trying to decide what my fourth one because I'm probably gonna surprise because I'm actually surprised this game wasn't on the list because I mean if people listen, huge RPG person. I love all the Final Fantasy stuff, but they're right out there. But and then the Star Wars the Star Wars Battlefront 2 or 3 was one of my favorite games ever. But four, man, Simpsons Road Rage, man.
Yeah, Simpsons Road Rage. Um, Very surprising that that was not on there. Um,
Like I had to double check. I F3 the page and I was typing in Simpsons. I was like, oh, it's really not on here.
so here's the thing with that is that like in terms of the people who played Simpsons, like Road Rage was awesome. I played the fuck out of Road Rage on the PS2. Hell, I
Yep.
even I still have that one. I even bought it on the GameCube too, just so I could play it somewhere.
Hmm.
I have two copies of the game. It's great. But the other one is Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yes, yes, that one. That those were great.
Now I never played Hit and Run, but you watch it. It's a Grand Theft Auto of Simpsons.
Yep,
Yeah, it's
yep.
pretty sweet. Neither of those two were on. Completely surprised that there wasn't at least one of those on there. I don't think so. All right. So what were your five games again?
I said Kingdom Hearts
Kingdom
2. I
Hearts.
said the yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2, Budokai Tenkaichi 3, Budokai 3, and then the Sims, and then the Batman Arkham City. So the Arkham series. So
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts 2 and Arkham were the only out of
there
my
was an Ar-
favorite.
there was an Arkham game on here, wasn't there?
Yep, Arkham City, number 31 actually. So it's pretty high up. Yep, 31. That was the game of the year of 2011. I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, it's probably the highest game that me personally, but then I was like the Final Fantasy that was on there, I was like, really, that was all right. I didn't really like it like that. And then like Gold and Silver, Pokemon, I'd be like Fire Red and Leaf Green more. So it was like, okay. Because I was
Was
trying to
there?
look at the games like I've actually completed, like not just played, like completed.
Yeah. Was there a game on there that you thought was that you loved, liked, whatever, and it was higher than what you thought it would be?
Let me.
So I can start that off. I can let you think about the answer to your question. So for mine, which is one of my top five video games, or maybe just video game franchises, because some of these franchises have so many games that like that alone could take up someone's top five. So sitting at number three was Metal Gear Solid.
Mhm.
Fantastic game series. If you love playing games and watching movies, the Metal Gear series, that'll check mark the box for you. Just just it was so good, but it was sitting at three, and I'm like, a lot of people haven't played, Metal Gear Solid One
Yeah.
because it's never been remastered. Not up until this year, whenever they release the Metal Gear Collection Volume One that's coming out. Unless you had a GameCube and you got the remaster that they did of Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. Um, but seeing that at three, that made me super excited, like stoked, because it's when you have a favorite game and you tell your friends you need to go play this game. Most of them won't, and it's not because they don't want to; they just might not have the time, or they're just a fish that hasn't bit the hook. Because a lot of people told me to play Chrono Trigger, for example, on the Super Nintendo, which is on this list as one of the top 100 games of all time. I just haven't had the time to do it. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid sitting there at three, fantastic. I am
Yeah.
real surprised though that Super Mario World was sitting at 26,
Hmm.
but I mean, not even in the top quarter of games. And I felt like, but Super Mario World was on this list, but like the original Super Mario wasn't. Or
So
like,
based off their stuff, I'm really surprised because we're talking about something too low. I'm surprised The Sims 2 is not in the upper, like I guess it would be the lower 50s, like 50 and like 1 through
yeah,
50 instead of like 55. Because Sims
yeah.
2 is like a revolutionary, like that game was extremely popular.
Oh yeah, the the simulation. It was. I loved SimCity.
Mhm.
Like SimCity 3000 Unlimited on the PC was my jam, and like I would go between that and then playing The Sims. And y'all know the code to get it, as much money as you want. Rosebud. And you figured out how to try to manipulate your keyboard by putting. If you guys were like me, I forget how you exactly did it, but you typed in Rosebud in that command and you put certain, like, I don't want to say a certain amount of exclamation points, blah blah blah, and then if you put if you held down like Control Shift L colon, I don't can remember, like it'll repeat the Rosebud code all the time to give you like so much money. But you'd be finding paperweights around the computer, and you'd be putting them on, and you'd be trying to go get a snack. Then you come back and you realize the shit didn't work, and you're wasting your damn time. But yep, yeah, I am surprised that The Sims was lower because I would put The Sims over like Ratchet and Clank, for example. Like I thought the Ratchet and Clank series was fun. It was awesome,
Yep.
and but like I don't know. This is where I guess you're talking about games that revolutionized the industry, and like how much does that weigh versus actual like how good was the game itself?
That's a good point. I also thought maybe like when I saw it, I was shocked. Where is it at? I thought Modern Warfare 2 was going to be in the top 10.
Yeah, 2009's Modern Warfare 2.
Yep. I thought it was going to be in the top 10.
I don't mind it at 41.
I thought Halo was
Um,
going to be in the top 5. Halo 2.
I was surprised that there wasn't a Halo game in the top 10 because I, Halo 2 I enjoyed more than Halo 3 and Halo 1. But whenever I was first watching this, I didn't know which one of those three would be put it because I didn't know if they would put Halo 1 in above them because, it's sort of, kind of, it was one of those beginning pioneers for the first person shooter, the multiplayer. GoldenEye did it with the multiplayer
Mm-hmm.
aspect. Doom even before that, and Doom was four. I'm real happy to see that Doom was up there. But yeah, I was. But then Halo Two, Halo Two came out right as Xbox Live got implemented, if I recall correctly. Um, I don't remember when Xbox Live came out compared to that because I got Live 2 years into its program. And then I started playing Halo 2 all the freaking time. So I have a ton of memories with Halo 2. But then the fandom for Halo, they love Halo 3. They still play Halo 3 multiplayer through the Master Chief Collection, and it's still popular. Now, the actual servers for Halo 3 just got shut down earlier this year, if I recall. Rest in peace. And but yeah, to see Halo 2 at 17, I'm glad it's at least in the top 20, but I really did think that it would get into the top 10. But with that being said,
Oh, I did see a surprise that I was talking about that I play and still periodically play because it was weird seeing like we're talking about like these the greatest top whatever games of all time based on their metric and seeing like games that just came out like a couple years ago. Like Animal Crossing is higher than Modern Warfare 2. And like that's what I was just like I get it. Animal Crossing came out the perfect time, like COVID and all that stuff. But to be a top 40 game of all time, I'm like, oof, I don't know.
that's a that's the thing for me. Animal Crossing, not it's not my cup of tea. But like, take for example, like Kayla, like my wife, she played the hell out of that, and she's not a video gamer.
Came out
Well,
at the right time. Like, it was perfect
it did.
timing.
Yep. And it's funny, a little sidestep here. Animal Crossing came out the same day as when Doom came out, Doom
Mm-hmm.
Eternal. So perfect timing for that. Kind of resembles, Oppenheimer coming out along with Barbie in the theaters. So yeah, we have seen that. But anyways, yeah, Animal Crossing. But I mean, it. I think if I remember right, it was like one of the I don't want to. No, not the Nintendo Switch's best-selling game because that belongs to Mario Kart, I believe. So to see Mario Kart up there at 18, I
Mm-hmm.
get it, but I'll tell you this. I again, like I said earlier, I have not played Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but I cannot think that that game would be hailed as being better than something as like Skyrim or
Yep.
Modern Warfare, GoldenEye. So I gotta disagree with that a little bit, but
I mean, speaking of that too, I've never played Bloodborne. I just know the movie that Vin Diesel was in. I was like, man, Bloodborne's number 13th of all time. I was like, that is wow.
you know. And I'll tell you what surprised me. it's almost for me personally, it's the biggest disagreement that I have with this list, and that is not that there is a Grand Theft Auto on this list because a Grand Theft Auto game should be on this list, and it's not even that there is a Grand Theft Auto game sitting at position 5, but it's the game that they chose.
Okay.
Like they put Grand Theft Auto 4
Mm-hmm.
in that spot. For me personally, I enjoyed I played them all. I played one, I played two, I played the little extension game that they had back then whenever you got to do Grand Theft Auto London. I've done top-down games. I played 3. I played Vice City, San Andreas 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, and 4. I just did not enjoy as much. Like I was shocked to see not that it was on the list, but that it was the only Grand Theft Auto game on the list, and it was number 5. I'm like, it's not even
Because
top.
four is not San Andreas, right?
No, San Andreas. No, this one has no, who's the antagonist or protagonist? Nicola. Yeah, he's an immigrant, and he comes to Liberty City, and like I thought the game was was a step down from San Andreas because I loved CJ. I thought CJ was the best um, Grand Theft Auto player that we've ever had. I loved CJ, and they took a poll actually, and I think um, Tony from Vice City
Mm-hmm.
uh, was the hailed as the greatest um, GTA protagonist. But I mean, I digress with that. But like GTA Vice City, I enjoyed more than 4. San Andreas, definitely in my eyes, way better game than 4. And I think just GTA 5 did what GTA 4 did, but for the most part, I thought it did better. Now, if you're one of those people that nitpick each part, definitely GTA 4 in terms of like vehicle interactions with the environment works better. Hell, if you take a helicopter over GTA 4's harbor, the water actually like reacts appropriately, whereas with GTA 5, it's not as the same. But yeah, seeing 4, it's really the only thing that I like. I almost wanted to post something in comment section, be like, "That's asinine," but
And then Minecraft, it's in the top 10. I had no issue with that, but just to double check, was there no Spiral game? Spyro, the little purple dragon, was he not in
yes,
the top one?
Spyro was. So it's
Okay.
72, the third game, Spyro Year of the Dragon, made
Jeez.
its
I feel like
entry.
that's a little too low.
Yep. And the thing is, that Spyro games they made an impact on the gaming industry as a whole. Because if you look into like Gaming Historian on YouTube is a great channel in case you want to just listen to, well, guess what, gaming history. Um, and he did a video series, or yeah, a video on the Spyro series and how they came from Insomniac Games, and how they just start up as a tiny. They pumped those 3 games out in like 3 years, from like 97 or 98 all the way up to 2000. Um, and that's the reason why the third game is called Year of the Dragon, because coincidentally, year 2000 in the Chinese New Year was Year of the Dragon. So there's a little history lesson for you. But um, just yeah, the game it helped like graphically. When they were starting to try to render 3D graphics environments and that on the PlayStation 1, it was one of those pioneers to help teach people that. So that's where I'm like, games that revolutionize like the industry, like how high do you put them up there compared to games that came after, but they were just better?
Like, because there were some games that came to mind, like based off the revolutionize the industry and all stuff. I don't have a problem with Super Mario 64 being number one. I honestly thought before, I thought it was going to be the original Pokemon game because obviously, like, Pokemon and the handheld and how that's really changed a whole bunch of things and the
I mean, like
games.
red and blue.
Yeah, like red and blue, because I mean that's the real reason that the freaking anime is going. Like people don't even care about the anime or the card game really. They care about the game. Like that was the only reason I bought a Game Boy at that point in time. I thought it was going to be in the top two because of just it's revolutionizing.
Was gold and silver. Oh, so for everyone not looking at number 19 was Pokemon Gold and Silver
Yeah, that's the only Pokemon on the list.
on the list. That's shocking. That one is really shocking.
Like I feel like Pokemon, like game wise, and I'm not even like a Pokemon like fan like that, but I've bought a lot of those Game Boy games. I still have them. I'll still boot them up every time and again. So, because I mean, obviously, like you collecting your Pokemon there and doing your Pokédex and all of that stuff. And when I was looking at it too, it looked like these were all console computer ish type games. Because again, I'm not a Pokemon fanboy, but Pokemon Go could have been in like the high 90s because that is a
yeah,
revolutionary game.
I guess that I didn't consider. I didn't care, or I didn't think of uh mobile games. So yeah, you're right because Pokemon Go should be on this list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to go back and just look through a lot of these games here, but I do enjoy seeing Dance Dance Revolution on there
And
with
that
it
one still going. It
still
doesn't have
going.
an end date.
But that's the
Still,
thing, like I actually didn't know that. I didn't even realize that Dance Dance Revolution was still going because um it made a lot of splash in the US in terms of on the consoles during the PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360 era.
mhm.
I owned the 360 versions, DDR Universe, and I also owned Universe 2. I don't think I ever bought 3. I think there was a 3, but I didn't buy it. But like, and yes, everyone, I did play Dance Dance Revolution, and I was on expert, and and yes, I was sweet. Anyways, not
Um,
anymore.
Another
Uh,
game because again, like only seeing the Tony Hawk sports game. I think revolutionary wise. I mean, I was thinking like an NBA Jam for like people who are listening to this who hopefully don't play this when they're younger, 18 and older. I mean, beer pong's like terms are all from NBA Jam.
so so I'll say two things here. I want to go back to your sports one there. In terms of so Dance Dance Revolution was on here
Mm-hmm.
for the music genre. I think it's the only one. So
Oh,
there's
wow.
no
No
guitar,
Guitar Hero?
no guitar hero.
Wow, that's
Um,
crazy. And I don't even
um,
play Guitar Hero. That's crazy.
yeah, so for Guitar Hero not to be on here, that's kind of crazy. I, I I enjoyed Rock Band more,
Mm-hmm.
because they introduced the drums before Guitar Hero did. But regardless, Guitar Hero they didn't just open, they SWAT kicked that door
Yes.
in for the video gaming community
You had to buy the
to
accessories to compete,
yeah,
man.
yeah, that you did. And so yeah, so with that one, I am surprised that Guitar Hero's not on there. As for what you were saying though, was the sports games.
NBA Street Volume 2,
What
like
was the game? What was the game? It wasn't Tecmo, was it? What was it? What's that football game back in like the regular Nintendo or the Super
oh,
Nintendo everyone played?
trying to think. I was gonna like NFL Street, which isn't on there. I'm trying to remember what that game's called. Actually,
Tecmo Bowl.
Techno.
Tecmo.
Okay, okay.
Yep. And some people hail that as one of the greatest sports games of all time, and it's not on this list. I don't think it was. I think sprinting through this list, I did not see. Are there any sports games?
Besides Tony Hawk,
Yeah, yeah, since we discussed that, but like
no, there's no other. There's no like NBA Jam, like I said, or like I don't care. I mean, whatever.
NBA Street, NFL
And
Street.
yeah, like a Madden or not one. And I'm like, that's what interests me because of like when you say impact, no disrespect to a lot of these games, but especially like Madden now or NBA 2K, like there's still millions of people who buy these games on launch day.
What do
Like
you think
there's so
about
that's why I'm
what
like,
do you
so what
think?
are we defining as impact?
You know, because I mean, Yeah. What other? I think I don't think there's any other sports games I think of.
Shit, I even thought about Wii Sports. Like,
Oh, well, Wii Sports is on there.
oh, is it? Is it really?
It is smack dab at 50.
Yep, 2000. Yep, right in the middle. Yep, you're right.
Yep. So, but Wii Sports, that makes sense that it's on this list and that I like where it's at there. But given that, I think it was the Wii's highest selling game of all time.
It was the
If I'm
main reason I think people bought the Wii.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you didn't need Mario, you didn't need Zelda, you didn't need anything. You needed Wii Sports. And if you had a Wii and you didn't have Wii Sports, it was actually kind of weird.
Hmm.
Like you actually looked at that person like, how do you not own Wii Sports? Like it
Yeah,
is what the console was made for. Like
yeah. No, I agree. Like seeing some of and then seeing some of these new old games like just like 13 to 11, like Bloodborne 2015, Resident Evil 2005, Tetris 1984. So I'm like, man, the range of these games at the top and the days that the years that they came out is pretty cool. But when you start looking at this list, man, like you just start thinking of games like, wow, I can't believe this is not on here.
actually, I remember seeing this one. Um, Now, granted, this game came out only like a year or two ago, so I would think that games that recently have come out have not engraved their legacy as
Hmm.
much. But some people they were mentioning, and I never played it. I haven't played it. Elden Ring is not on this list.
Oh, I mean, that's true. It's not, but
It won Game of the Year,
hmm.
and it's it's nowhere on here.
But there's games as late as there's 2019, 2019, 2020 Animal Crossing. Because there are games that have God of War 2018. Like there are games that have just came out that are on here. So maybe, like you said, maybe they'll give it a couple years, and then when they
Yeah.
do this list 5 years from now, Last of Us 20, like The Witcher 3 came out 2015's in the top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's
5 years
a
from now it'll be on here.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, well, I'm trying to think. It is funny seeing some of these names of these games, and I'm like, I've never,
Yep.
never heard of that game. So I'll take forward like game number 47, and someone's going to hear me say this, and their jaw's going to drop, and they're going to call me a dipshit, and you know what, go for it. But number 47, near a uh, automata, near automata
Let's
came
see,
out in 2017.
47.
I'm like, I have no idea what that is. What in the world?
No,
Um,
no.
Funny.
Like it is something, man. But then again, it shows like all the different because I mean we even brought up the mobile games because again, Pokemon Go should be on here, but like it shows all the different types of games that are out there and all the people who are playing these games.
Any game on here that you, if you could right now, play it with no life distractions or whatnot? Any game on here you'd like to give you a
Um,
chance to?
I'm looking at the list right now.
If you say Tetris, I'd hang up.
No, no. I guess maybe because I skipped the hype for this, and I knew people who took the day off for the game. Number 22, Red Dead Redemption 2. I
Yeah.
mean, again, I skipped the hype on that, but I knew some people who took off work where I
Hmm.
worked for it, and like I mean, I've watched some stuff. I'm like, oh, this is dope. It just wasn't for me,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
also and also a thing too, because like a lot of these games, depending on how old you are, I think you have a more like affinity. Like if you remember the grind of like playing with a memory card and getting like the cheat code disc or getting the cheat code packet, like that's prime gaming right there.
Yeah.
we didn't have YouTube to just look up. Oh, I can't get past this place. Let me just go on YouTube and watch someone do that. I mean, that's what people do now, man.
Yep. There is no grind anymore.
Oh
But
no,
uh,
no, no.
no, if I now I'm trying to break this mold, but to answer the question for myself, the game in which I wish, and this is kind of just in general though, and that is I wish I have been able to play the Zelda games. I have
Mm,
not I have not played a single Zelda game my entire life. All of those games have eluded me for whether maybe my parents didn't. I mean, I felt like I had all the Mario games, so
yeah.
like I was very involved with Mario and Donkey Kong, but like maybe my parents didn't see any interest in them, and then therefore I never had an interest in them. And as I grew up, maybe I didn't have enough money, maybe I bought it, whatever. But like I have bought on the Switch. I bought Breath of the Wild and the new one, um, whatever it's called, something of the Kingdom. That goes to show you how ignorant I am. I can't even remember the title of the freaking game I bought. But I've seen that these games are like the Zelda games are always up there in terms of like greatest Nintendo games of all time. Like as a Mario fan, I'm like, how can that be? How can that be so good? But like, you kind of get over your own stupidity sometimes and just realize that the world is a lot larger than what your eyes allow it to see. So like, seeing here at number two is Ocarina of Time from the 64. If you have a Switch and you have the Nintendo Switch plan that allows you to play 64 games, that game's on there. That's a free game for you. Well, not free, but you get what I'm saying. Um, those are the games that I think I'd like to give a try to. There's plenty more on here, but
And this list is going to change every year. That's the thing. It's going to change every year.
yep, just games just constantly coming and going. And I'm just trying to think one last time here if there's anything on here or anything not on here. Um, nah, there's no. So like we play Yu-Gi-Oh for example. I don't remember a Yu-Gi-Oh game that was as revolutionary that would push
No,
in
no.
that.
I think in 5 years though, I think Master Duel will be on there because like official simulator.
Yeah, I could see Master Duel be like at the tail end.
Oh yeah.
Um, but would I put Master Duel? So at here's the thing. Number 100 is Pong. Like like the reason why it's on here is is because how it revolutionized and put video games in your house. Like and it's a very easy game to learn, very easy game to play. It even says in the description that they can teach AI to play it, and whatever you can play yourself. I cannot imagine Pong being taken off this list for Master Duel.
Side note, I did because it made me think I had to double check. I think Pac-Man. I'm surprised Pac-Man wasn't higher up.
Oh yeah, because they had Miss Pac-Man on there. Yep,
Hmm.
yep. But
But it's
uh,
gonna happen, man. There's gonna be games getting made forever, and things are gonna get kicked off.
yeah, that just that's just how it is, and it's a good problem to have. If you think about it at its root, if your favorite game gets kicked off a list, that means that an just as amazing game got put on.
Yep. Yep.
So might hurt your pride a little bit, but like what I said, you gotta kind of open up your gaze a little bit and enjoy these games for all they are because you could be bored and not play any video games. I'll tell you this too. I don't understand how people don't play video games like at all. Like like before video games were in your house, I don't know how people got through their day. Like people in
Hmm.
the 50s and 60s, like yeah, they went out, they hung out with friends, and which I feel like you can still do that too, but you're not hanging out with your friends all the time. People are busy. They got their lives, and it's just how it is. Maybe they don't want to hang out with you one day, you know.
Mhm.
So what the hell are you doing? Like, what are you doing at home? You watching television? Okay, what's the difference playing a game? Like, there's nothing on TV anymore. Well, there is, but I'm just being ignorant whenever I say that. But like,
It's crazy too because you're saying
maybe
all that
people should
stuff,
get off
which
the phone.
I agree. Another phone game, revolutionary because college, Temple Run.
Yeah, I can see
Temple
where
Run,
again,
Words with Friends. I mean, those games were very popular.
I would put Temple Run as an honorable mention. I don't think I would put Words with Friends, but what you mentioning Pokemon Go, that that's about as you want an honorable mention. Do you remember Snake?
Yeah, yeah.
Snake. Good old, or the first ever time I ever played Bejeweled was on a freaking Motorola flip phone. Freaking wild, man. But
But
um,
anything else, Mitch?
I can't think of anything else. So it's fun actually talking about these video game things. I think you could almost open that kind of discussion up to the rest of the L7C because, like, if you talk to Jacob, for example, I can already think of he'll he will vouch for how good The Witcher was, and for everyone, Witcher was like seven on Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. It was like number three on the list.
Hmm.
He would preach about Red Dead Redemption 2, and even though him and I played a lot of games at the time, and he would put Halo on there, he's played a plethora of different genre of games than what I have played, so his insight would be good. And just like what like you did, you played Final Fantasy. I never played them, but I recommend for you though to play the Super Mario RPG remake whenever it comes out in November,
Hmm.
considering Square made you could honestly, if you've ever seen the history of it, Final Fantasy, Square was struggling to get into the American market, even though they made the first like six Final Fantasy games over in Japan or whatever it was. And then they did a collaboration with Nintendo for Super Mario RPG. Once
Hmm.
that game got over here and it became popular, it put Square's name more into the minds of American children. And then when Final Fantasy came over on the PlayStation, then it just worked itself out. So with you liking that, you should give that one a try. That's a game I'd recommend for you because you'll see similarities to it. It's just a Mario game. So
Well, with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Make sure you like, rate, comment, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. I do have a message from all of the other people on the L7C. Mitch, they have been wondering where you've been during the draft stuff.
I'll either doing master's course stuff or just not at home at the time. So just yeah, that's the thing. I started my master's program and just trying to get that education so I can make more money. So, but nah, that's about it. I do need to hop on there. I don't think I would have too many interactions like I would in fantasy football, but you never know. Never know. I actually thought you were going to say the rest of the L7C is wondering where I am in the listener count this year.
Oh,
So,
I mean, they were all. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. The last pod at the end, everyone, all of them, everyone was on talking shit because JJ, he was like, he got a whiteboard. He's like, that's why Mitch is losing to Jacob. He's missed these two episodes. He would have caught up by now. And I was just like, oh man.
worthless, worthless. Gosh damn. I got a whiteboard here, but I'm using it for the masters. I gotta apparently erase all these equations I got on it and just keep my tally on JJ. So,
I'm just saying. I mean, right now you're what down. I mean, will be very interesting at the end of the year because you were. It's very close. It's very close. That's the thing.
um, this Dragon Ball sucks right now, man. Like, it's hardcore. So,
Well, you just need one big piece of news to just change everything.
oh yeah, if Chronicles can be right, I mean, we'll all benefit. It's like It's like who was it in WWE who said that they loved it when Austin always had the belt?
What the hell? It was people from DX like X-Pac, Road Dogg.
You know, just when the person, yeah, that's how I feel. They're just Austin's not the champ right now, so just it's a little struggle around here with
Yeah,
no Dragon Ball content. So
yeah, because they were like, man, these are two podcasts in a row. These are giving Mitch layups to catch Jacob. Jacob only does wrestling. At least you've been able to hop on, like you can do some other anime stuff, and I mean, you can hop on some of the football stuff.
well, last year, I opened my mouth with football things and realized I was an idiot, but
Well, I mean, you can still get some cheap listens, though. I mean,
that is
you
true.
don't want to come to December, end of December, and we're like, all right, before we do everyone else, let's just get this out of the way. Mitchell versus Jacob. Let's see how it ended. So,
I'll tell you that my master's is in data analytics, and I'll tell you when this program is done in 2 years and I know what I'm doing, you bet your ass, you bet your ass that I'm going to figure out how to do fantasy football insights for the L7C, and we are going to get fucking nerdy. And Justin is going to be on there, and he is going to be like, Mitch, this is fantasy football. This is not real life. Like you cannot care about this person because they are not going to play. And it's going
well,
to be great.
yeah, it is an interesting time for people L7C wise because we're gonna have a lot of don't know how much this will be translated to podcast stuff or YouTube. A lot. I mean, you got SummerSlam coming up, so we have our Pick'em belt in a couple weeks. And after SummerSlam, we have our Duel Day, like literally the weekend after. And then after Duel Day, we're going to be 3 weeks away from our fantasy football draft. And then college football starts. There's a lot of fun stuff coming down the pipelines from us.
Nope. Oh, it's exciting time. So
But with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Hopefully, when you're listening to this, Dragon Ball did something at Comic Con, but don't hold your hopes up. If they did, we'll be happy. And if it's super breaking, maybe we'll do like a quick thing to
yeah,
add
we'll
on
do.
to
Yeah,
this.
we'll do something real quick. Yep.
But with that being said, L7C podcast signing out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.